Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Aganda Timarandasya Ganajana Shivakaya Chakshur Umulitam Yena Tajma Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Hare Krishna. The following video series is a summary of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam was translated into English by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Also included are His in-depth commentaries known as purports. These purports unpack the often complex and symbolic language of the text, making it understandable to a wider audience. The Srimad Bhagavatam, also known as the Bhagavata Purana, is considered the most important of sacred scriptures. Composed around 5,000 years ago, it is considered the ripened fruit of the tree of Vedic literature and the original commentary on the Vedanta-sutra. The author of Srimad Bhagavatam is Srila Vyasadeva. He is also the compiler of the Vedas, classified as a Purana, a vast genre of ancient stories and knowledge encompassing history, philosophy, and spiritual teachings. Srimad Bhagavatam includes stories of avatars, creation narratives, lives of saints and sages, philosophy discourses, and practical guidance for spiritual life. Divided into 12 cantos with over 18,000 verses covering 10 subject matters. 1. The elemental creation. 2. The secondary creation. 3. The planetary systems. 4. Protection by the Lord. 5. The creative impetus. 6. Manvatars. 7. The science of God. 8. The dissolution. 9. Liberation. And 10. The supreme shelter. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya-lila, chapter 25, text 143 and 144, Lord Chaitanya, speaking to Prakrisananda Saraswati, tells him, translation, the meaning of the Vedanta-sutra is present in Srimad Bhagavatam. The full purport of the Mahabharata is also there. The commentary of the Brahma Gayatri is also there and fully expanded with all Vedic knowledge. Srimad Bhagavatam is the Supreme Purana. It was compiled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His incarnation as Vyasadeva. There are 12 cantos, 335 chapters, and 18,000 verses. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, chapters 1 through 7. Chapter 1. The Supreme Lord is equal to everyone. In this chapter, Sukadeva Goswami addresses Maharaj Parikshit's questions about the Supreme Lord's actions. Parikshit wonders why the Lord, who is everyone's friend, killed demons like the Daityas for Indra's sake. Sukadeva Goswami clarifies that the Supreme Lord is never partial. Dualities like friend and enemy, attachment and detachment arise from the conditioned soul's entanglement with the three modes of material nature. The Lord, however, is transcendental to these modes and even controls eternal time itself. Therefore, all demons killed by the Lord actually achieve immediate salvation. Parikshit then asks how Sisupal, who constantly blasphemed Krishna, also attained salvation. Sukadeva Goswami explains this by recounting the story of Jaya and Vijaya, two attendants of the Lord in Vaikuntha. Due to an offense to devotees, they were cursed to take birth as enemies of the Lord in 3 successive ages. First as Hiranyakasipu and Hiranyaksha, then Ravana and Kumbhakarna, and finally Sisupal and Dantavarka. Because they were constantly thinking of the Lord, even in enmity, they achieved salvation and oneness when killed by Him. This emphasizes that even those who think of the Lord in envy can attain salvation. If this is true, what then of those who serve Him with pure love and faith? A verse from chapter 1 is text 32. Kamat mopi navena svat panchanam purusam prati tasmat kenap upayena mana krishne nivesayet. Translation. Somehow or other, one must consider the form of Krishna very seriously. Then, by one of the 5 different processes mentioned above, one can return home, back to Godhead. Atheists, like King Vena, however, being unable to think of Krishna's form in any of these 5 ways, cannot attain salvation. Therefore, one must somehow think of Krishna, whether in a friendly way or inimically. Chapter 2. Hiranyakasipu, king of the demons. After his brother Hiranyaksha was killed by the Supreme Lord in the form of a boar, Hiranyakasipu was consumed by grief and rage. He lashed out, blaspheming the Lord and accusing him of partiality. In his anger, he began persecuting pious sages and disrupting all religious sacrifices on earth, causing chaos and distress among the demigods. To console his grieving nephews and family after the funeral rites, Hiranyakasipu delivered a philosophical discourse. He spoke of the eternity of the soul and the temporary nature of the material body, stating that death in battle is glorious for a hero. To further illustrate his points, Hiranyakasipu recounted 2 stories, one about King Suyagna, whose queens were consoled after death, and another about a bird lamenting its mate, both victims of a hunter's arrow. Through these narratives, he attempted to alleviate his relative's sorrow by emphasizing the soul's detachment from the body. Consequently, his mother Diti and his sister-in-law Rusa Banu found some peace after turning their minds towards spiritual understanding. A verse from chapter 2 is text 41. Bhutani taister nag yoti kamambir bhavanti kalena bhavanti sarvasa natratra hatma prakrivapi sitas tashagunar atyatmohi bandhyate. Translation. Every conditioned soul receives a different type of body according to his work, and when the engagement is finished, the body is finished. Although the spirit soul is situated in subtle and gross material bodies in different forms of life, he is not bound by them, for he is always understood to be completely different from the manifested body. Chapter 3. Hiranyakasipu's plan to become immortal. This chapter describes Hiranyakasipu's intense penance for immense material power, which caused widespread distress throughout the universe. He entered Mandara Mountain's valley, practicing severe austerities, causing a blazing fire to emanate from his head. This heat tormented all living beings, from birds and beasts to demigods, making all planetary systems unbearable. Alarmed, the demigods approached Lord Brahma, explaining that Hiranyakasipu's goal is to escape death, conquer disease and old age, and become a ruler over all creation. In response to Lord Brahma, along with great sages like Bhrigu and Daksa, visit Hiranyakasipu and revives him by sprinkling water from his kamandalu. When Brahma offered benedictions, Hiranyakasipu presented a long list of desires designed to make him virtually immortal and unconquerable. He asked not to be killed by any living entity, by any weapon, at any place, day or night, on land or in the air, or by any human, animal, or demigod. He also desired universal supremacy and the 8 yogic perfections. A verse from chapter 3 is text 13. Tavasanam divijagavam param risham jagatpate vavaya shreyase bhutyaye kismaya vijaya cha. Translation. O Lord Brahma, your position within this universe is certainly most auspicious for everyone, especially the cows and Brahmins. Brahminical culture and the protection of cows can be increasingly glorified, and thus all kinds of material happiness, opulence, and good fortune will automatically increase. But unfortunately, if Hiranyakasipu occupies your seat, everything will be lost. Chapter 4. Hiranyakasipu terrorizes the universe. This chapter details how Hiranyakasipu, empowered by Lord Brahma's boons, became a tyrannical ruler. His body, once consumed by austerity, was fully revived with golden luster. Despite his renewed splendor, he remained consumed by enmity towards Lord Vishnu for killing his brother. Hiranyakasipu swiftly conquered all three worlds, including Indra's heavenly kingdom, driving out the demigods and bringing all living entities under his sway. Overwhelmed by his oppressive rule, all living entities led by the demigods and sages desperately prayed to the Supreme Lord Vishnu for deliverance. Lord Vishnu assured them that Hiranyakasipu's end was near. He explained that because Hiranyakasipu relentlessly tormented demigods, followers of the Vedas, cows, Brahmins, and saintly persons, and harbored deep envy for the Lord himself, he was destined for a swift demise. His final act would be to torment his own son Prahlada, an exalted devotee, which would signal his downfall. Reassured by the Lord's promise, everyone found peace. This chapter concludes with Narada Muni beginning to describe the extraordinary qualities of Prahlada Maharaj, revealing how Hiranyakasipu, blinded by pride, came to envy his own pure and devoted son. A verse from chapter 4 is text 25. Ma ba ista vibhud shrestha sarve sambhadram asuva madarsanam hi bhutanam sarva shreyopa pataye. Translation. The voice of the Lord vibrated as follows. O best of learned persons, do not fear. I wish all good fortune to you. Become my devotees by hearing and chanting about me and offering me prayers, for these are certainly meant to award benediction to all living entities. I know all about the activities of Hiranyakasipu and shall surely stop them very soon. Please wait patiently until that time. Chapter 5. Prahlada Maharaj, the saintly son of Hiranyakasipu. This chapter highlights Prahlada Maharaj's unwavering devotion despite his demoniac father, Hiranyakasipu. Entrusted to the care of his teachers, Sanda and Amarka, Prahlada resisted all material education, remaining focused on Lord Vishnu's worship. He preached equality, seeing no friends or enemies due to his spiritual inclination. When Hiranyakasipu questioned his son about his best learning, Prahlada fearlessly declared that one should abandon materialistic life to worship the Supreme Lord in the forest. Enraged, Hiranyakasipu ordered the teachers to correct him, but Prahlada taught them about the falsehood of material ownership and the purity of devotion to Vishnu. The angry teachers brought him back to his father. Again, Prahlada extolled the 9 processes of devotional service. This infuriated Hiranyakasipu, who chastised the teachers. They explained Prahlada's inherent condition. When asked where he learned it, Prahlada asserted that those absorbed in family life cannot achieve Krishna consciousness without the shelter of a pure devotee. In a fit of rage, Hiranyakasipu threw Prahlada from his lap and ordered his death. Despite being attacked with weapons, trampled by elephants, thrown from a mountain, and subject to countless tortures, Prahlada remained unharmed, protected by the Lord. Hiranyakasipu, increasingly fearful, then arrested his son. Even while in prison, Prahlada continued to preach Krishna consciousness to his demoniac classmates, turning them all into devotees like himself. A verse from chapter 5 is text 23. Shri Prahlada Uvacha Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smarnam Padma Sevanam Archanam Vandanam Dashyam Sakyam Atma Nivedadam. Translation. Prahlada Maharaj said, hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming his servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto him. In other words, serving him with the body, mind, and words. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. One who has dedicated his life to the service of Krishna through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for he has acquired complete knowledge. Chapter 6. Prahlada instructs his demoniac schoolmates. In this chapter, Prahlada Maharaj instructs his friends, all sons of demons, on the importance of spiritual realization from childhood. He emphasizes that every human being should be taught to worship the Supreme Personality Godhead from the very beginning of life. Prahlada stresses that one should not become overly engrossed in material enjoyment. Instead, one should be satisfied with easily obtainable material gains and utilize every moment for spiritual advancement, as life is very short. He refutes the idea of delaying spiritual practice until old age, explaining that it is often too late then. Therefore, he advises immediate engagement in devotional service, such as Shravanam, hearing, and Kirtanam, chanting. He highlights that while material education is influenced by the modes of nature, spiritual education is transcendental and essential for human society. Prahlada then reveals the secret of his wisdom. He received direct instructions from Narada Muni. He concludes by stating that accepting a bona fide spiritual master, anyone can understand spiritual life regardless of material qualifications. The chapter ends with Prahlada's friends deeply impressed, inquiring how he became so learned and advanced. A verse from chapter 6 is text 3. Sukham ayandriyakam daita deha yogena dehinam sarvatra labhyate daivad yata dukam anyanata. Translation. Prahlada Maharaj continued, "My dear friends born of demoniac families, the happiness perceived with reference to sense objects by contact with the body can be obtained in any form of life, according to one's past fruitive activities. Such happiness is automatically attained without endeavor, just as we obtain distress." Chapter 7. What Prahlada learned in the womb. This chapter reveals the incredible origin of Prahlada Maharaj's profound devotion. To clarify his classmates' doubts, Prahlada explains that he received instructions in Bhagavat Dharma, devotional service, directly from Narada Muni, while still in his mother's womb. When Hiranyakasipu departed to perform severe austerities, the demigods mistakenly captured his pregnant wife, Kayadu, intending to kill the child she carried. However, Narada Muni intervened, taking Kayadu to his ashram for protection. There, Kayadu prayed for her unborn child's safety, and Narada Muni reassured her, imparting transcendental knowledge. Within the womb, baby Prahlada attentively listened to Narada's teachings. He understood that the spirit soul is distinct from the material body, and that anyone beyond the bodily concept of life can receive transcendental knowledge, which is devotional service. Prahlada emphasized that engaging in the Lord's service under a bona fide spiritual master immediately liberates one from the material desires and ignorance, regardless of one's material condition. He concluded that devotional service is not dependent on material assets like austerity or penance, but is achieved purely by the mercy of a pure devotee. A verse from chapter 7 is text 23. Dehastu sarva sangato jagatastur iti dvidha atraiva mrigya puruso neti neti yatat tyagyan. Translation. There are two kinds of bodies for every individual soul. A gross body made of 5 gross elements and a subtle body made of 3 subtle elements. Within these bodies, however, is the spirit soul. One must find the soul by analysis, saying, "This is not it, this is not it." Thus one must separate spirit from matter.